everyone, and welcome to the main event Marks Wrestling Podcast. I am former media personality, lifelong wrestling fan, and avid wrestling memorabilia collector, Troy, and with me, as always, is the walking wrestling encyclopedia, and also avid wrestling memorabilia collector, Greg. What's up, man?
What up?
It is our second show, man. We're getting it in the can.
Talking about this is 100% live. We can.
Yeah. Yeah, we're also, speaking of getting things in the can, we are officially on Spotify. We are on PodChaser, Deezer. We're on Spreaker. We're going to be on a bunch of different platforms. We're just kind of, last week was our first show. As of right now, we might actually be on other platforms because it's been a week. So, check us out. I will keep everybody updated on Twitter and Instagram at, I almost gave our old handle, at main_event_marks. Check that out. Definitely give us a like and a follow for everything you see. And I will keep everybody updated on everything about the podcast, including where you can find us. So I hope you're subscribing to us already, Greg.
Oh, of course.
Got to subscribe to yourself, because if you don't subscribe to yourself, who will?
Isn't it like voting for yourself for prom king?
Oh, I didn't realize we could vote for ourselves.
But I did. I'm going to knock it, but I did.
Oh, well, yeah. I did too. I'm asking all my friends too, and all my family and all that good stuff. And hopefully this will help us get a good following. We are even, I can't remember off the top of my head because I've never heard of the platform before. I apologize, but we're going to soon be on a platform that's the biggest podcasting platform in all of India. So we might get some Indian listeners. So if we're already on that platform, and we do have some listeners from India, thank you. We're going international. And that comes shortly after our win of the international title at a very exclusive tournament down in Rio de Janeiro. Wink, wink. But today, man, we're going to be talking about WCW Great American Bash 1996. You said you never broke from your wrestling fandom, so I assume you were, and this was a pretty hot time, 1996. I assume you were still deep into it at this point.
We ordered this pay-per-view, so.
Oh,
might have been the very first pay-per-view my dad ever ordered.
Wow.
I watched them all at my buddy's house, but this might be the first one we ever ordered. I remember vividly we were watching the, they called it Main Event. That was their Sunday Night Heat. And we were watching it, I don't know, something like clicked and it sold them. Like, okay, we got to watch this. Little did I know how epic it would turn out.
Yeah, it actually was. I kind of pulled this out of thin air because for various reasons, and then you brought up more reasons to me that you remembered, and I went, okay, well, I've never seen it before, kind of looking forward to seeing it, whatever. And I don't know, I wasn't expecting a bad show by any means, but I kind of looked at the lineup, and I was like, okay, it looks like it could be good, looks like it, could be okay, but I watched it, and man, like, even the matches that I thought, oh gosh, I don't really care about this, turned out to be really damn good. So, not everything.
Yeah, we're not gonna be like every single match is a home run, but man, it's memorable.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I'm very excited to cover this show. Lots of historic stuff. Think about where WCW was in 1996. We're actually going to cover some news and notes we're still in June of 1996. Last week we covered June of 1998, getting into King of the Ring 1998. Not to toot our own horn or pat ourselves on the back, but I thought that was a really good show, good review. I think we covered everything from all angles. I was really proud of our very first episode, now in the archives, by the way. And, oh, by the way, we are soon to get a YouTube page, so keep an eye out for that. hopefully by the time this drops, we are officially on YouTube. So Greg has been needling me about it, so I need to get off my keister and actually do it. But yeah, we will be on YouTube hopefully by now. Check us out at @main_event_marks for all the updates. But you ready to dive into the news and notes of the time, Greg?
As ready as I can be.
All right. Well, you might remember this one because you and I have talked about it, just in passing multiple times. A power outage at WWF's In Your House Beware of Dog pay-per-view this month led to the strangest pay-per-view, one of the strangest pay-per-view shows ever it was in April, the end of April. It was on April 26th and 28th. And I'll explain why here in a moment if you don't know. Early in the show, the power went out for over an hour due to a bad storm in the area. The show was off the air on pay-per-view for 25 minutes before Jerry Lawler and Vince McMahon came on, telling viewers to stay tuned and saying that the matches were continuing in the arena and would air on the 28th replay. But the power stayed off so long that when it returned, they only had time for the main event, which was Shawn Michaels defending the WWF title against the British Bulldog. Because none of the footage was able to be used due to lighting issues, they decided to just redo the matches live on Tuesday night in a different city for the replay. My God.
One thing I remember about the replay is they clearly tape it with, like, superstars. Or, they use the set. Because you go back and watch the replay part, you can see the superstars set clearly right there. Well, that's what they're coming out of.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, I know.
I think one funny part about this is, like, this was supposed to be Ted DiBiase's last night in WWE, but then obviously he has to redo it, so he gets one more night.
Yeah. Well, that's actually, I'll talk about that here in a second, too, but, yeah, man, this show was weird. Bruce Pritchard talked about it on his podcast. He said the funniest thing was he's, like, obviously Vince McMahon is out at the announce table, so he can't exactly, like, lose his crap and GDMF and blah, 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 throwing crap.
Sure he did.
Yeah. Well, he said, Bruce said he was in the back. He was in control of everything. Well, he was in charge of everything, not in control. But he said he was running around. Him and Kevin Dunn were running around like their heads were on fire, like just losing their minds. And he can't communicate with Vince through the headset because of the power. And he said he runs out there, and it was during the strap match that you were just talking about, Austin and Savio Vega. And he's sitting there talking to Vince. He said Vince is just watching the match, sipping on a cup of coffee, super calm. And he's like, okay, we're going to do this, and if this happens, and this, and this. And then he said, the only thing he said, he's like, the hell of a match, pal. God dang. And he's like,
okay, that's not something I would have expected him to say. I got to go back and listen to this, by the way. I must have skipped this one. But yeah, that's not something I would expect him to say.
No, yeah. He said he was just watching. He said he wouldn't even make eye contact with Bruce the whole time. He's just watching the strap match, and he goes, hell of a match, pal. And he's like,
wow.
Sure, I guess. He was like, that the power is out, right? And we're off pay-per-view. And he said Vince's only response is he was kind of just like, well, what the hell am I going to do? He's like, go do your job. And it is like, I mean, that is the appropriate response, just not one you would expect from Vince, from all the things we've ever heard.
Yeah, not after what everyone said.
Right.
My only thought is, like, they weren't publicly traded yet. There's no board of directors, so I was like, who gives a damn? That's my only thought. I mean.
Right. Well, on the subject, on the Monday Night Raw between the two pay-per-views, a change has been made on the Steve Austin-Savio Vega match that's stating that if Austin lost, Ted DiBiase would leave the WWF. The reason was because DiBiase put in his notice the other day, on a previous day, that he was leaving for WCW when his contract expired in August. So apparently that was not the stipulation going into the pay-per-view, but it was the stipulation on the replay when they had to redo the match. So, weird. I don't know. But yeah, we would soon see odd trivia fact that, I mean, looking back, because I wasn't watching wrestling at this time. I hadn't started watching yet. I was 5, so showing my age.
I watched when I was 5, loser.
But yeah,
sorry, I couldn't help it.
You're an ass. But anyway, I didn't know this until looking back at it. The odd fact was that Ted DiBiase was the 4th man in the NWO. For some reason, I always thought it was Sean Waltman, aka Six, but no, he was like the 6th man, because I think wasn't it DiBiase, then the Giant.
I think it might have been the Giant first.
Yeah, or well, no. Giant came after, because remember DiBiase popped up in the crowd and he was putting up like the 5 fingers, like there's a 5th man, whatever, and they're like, oh crap, he's part of it, and then he brought in the Giant.
Well, going back and looking at it, I always thought he was holding that because he was the 5th man. Okay, I guess that makes sense too.
Yeah, no, because he had established he was the 4th man, and then he kept holding up the 5 fingers. They're like, what does that mean? What is it? Does that mean there's a 5th? Anyway, back to the stuff going on here in 1996. The plan for Shawn Michaels, Davey Boy Smith, and Diana Hart's storyline was supposed to be a big reveal that Diana was trying to seduce Shawn, and he turned her down. But word is neither Diana or Davey Boy were comfortable with that, so that won't happen now. Wasn't that the conclusion of the story, though? Didn't they actually go with it?
In a way, it was Michaels was stalking her, or not. He was hitting on her or something, not stalking her, but yeah.
Jim Cornette actually revealed a nice little tidbit about this story, too. But Jim Cornette was working in the office at the time somewhat, and he said that, Owen Hart liked to do the ribs and stuff like that, and he said Stu Hart actually heard about the storyline and called up, and he thought it was Owen messing with him, because Stu was like complaining about the storyline, and so Jim was like, yeah, okay, whatever, and he was like, yeah, we're going to bend her over and sodomize her and all this other stuff, just like going off on this nasty whatever, because he thought he would pop Owen. And then Owen walks into the room, and he's like,
oh, wow, that got awkward.
Yeah, he's like, oh, crap. And then he was like, well, here's Bruce Pritchard, gotta go, bye. And then he hands the phone over to Bruce, and Bruce doesn't know what just happened. He's like, hey, Stu, what's going on? He's like, what are you, some kind of pervert or something?
Oh, let me get you Russo. Be right back.
Oh, wow. Stone Cold Steve Austin appears to be trying out a new finishing move. On the episode of Raw, taped on June 17th, Austin pinned Savio Vega using a version of the Ace Crusher. And we all know that flopped and never went anywhere, and he never used it again.
Well, why would he use the Ace Crusher?
Yeah, right. WWF sent out a memo to all wrestlers that they're going to start doing HIV testing due to pressure from some state athletic commissions. Odd.
That's random. Not a steroid test, or make sure you're not doing crack. AIDS. Okay.
You'd think this would be.
Not that that's bad. They should
implement, right?
Yeah.
Not passing aspersions, but and I'm not making light of tragedy. Please don't think I am. But multiple former ECW wrestlers have either been hooked on heroin at one point or another, or died from overdose. So, and you can't tell me they were clean back in the 90s with all the stories going around that they were definitely not clean in the 90s, and they bled all over Kingdom Come. So, speaking of people who make other people bleed, Ken Shamrock has a starring role in an upcoming film called Champions, where he plays, wait for it, a no-holds-barred shoot-fighting champion.
Ooh, what a stretch.
Yeah, I know, right? He was really getting out of his comfort zone with that. Doesn't want to be pigeonholed. WWF reportedly came to terms on a deal with Ron Simmons, and he's expected to debut as a heel, MFer.
Oh, man, I wonder how that's going to play out.
Yeah, he's going to show up with
see that debut
helmet. Rad Radford, or Louis Spicoli, was given